Well, hello everyone and welcome. Welcome to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on voiceamericamedia.com. We're in our 24th year of being here. Very excited about that. This is the program that shows you how to turn your problems into solutions and your obstacles into opportunities and make your dreams come true. And we have a great guest on today. I've had worked with her before, known her for many years through doing this wonderful work that I love so much. And it's a fun topic. We're talking about what color is your brain? And what that does is it looks at your personality and discovers what makes you tick so you can improve your relationships. So, the book is What Color is Your Brain? But let me tell you about the guest. My guest is Sheila Glazov. She is a best selling author. She's an internationally known professional speaker, an award winning personality expert, and a passionate educator and brain color coach. Adults and children immediately benefit from Sheila's engaging programs and her style, and her methodology simplifies the complex nature of the brain color personalities. Her book is now in the revised edition. Her best selling book has sold over 41,000 copies worldwide. The new book helps readers decode their personality and discover what makes them and others tick to improve their communications and relationships. When you read the book and when you hear this interview today, you'll discover your yellow, brain, green, and orange brain colors, which will help you improve your personal, professional, and romantic attributes and abilities. You also, through these colors, it helps you deal with change and bully behavior. It's a fun and it's a fascinating approach that's never boring, always thought-provoking, and simplifies the complex nature of individuals' complex nature. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you, Patricia.
It's always so great. So talk about how you revised this book and the reason for that and what's new.
Well, there's a lot new about it, which is lovely. I needed to revise it because so many things have changed. And when we first met 2009, the book had been published in 2008. And it was grand getting the information out to the world, but was disturbing to me, but I couldn't do anything about it. I wondered why it couldn't be printed in color. And the publisher
Mm,
said to me, we'd love to do it in color, but it's so outrageously expensive to do color throughout your book.
yeah.
And so what I'm very excited about with the book now is that everything is digital. It's
Mm,
not a printing press. So the publisher was able to put the colors throughout the book. So when we're talking about the yellow brain people, you see the head and you see the yellow lobe of the brain, which, as you know, has a right angle because, the yellow people like to be right. And they're
mm,
always prepared. They're always responsible. One little boy in fifth grade many years ago said, I'm rependable. I'm responsible, I'm respectful, I'm accountable and
right,
dependable. So
right,
I always like to give Eric attribution. Someday he's going to be in a program or someplace where I meet him and
right.
say, Eric, thank you. And so for me, having the book in color really helps people understand who they are. So if
Mm,
you're blue, you see the blue occipital lobe and you understand how helpful you are. And the green people, their parietal lobe, like your computer chip at the top of your brain, that sometimes I wish they could delete some of it and give us some new
mm,
memory, like
mm,
our computers. Those are the people who are very logical and analytical, and they're not as emotional as the blue people. The blue people always wear their hearts on their sleeves, and I say the
mm,
green people wear their hearts inside their sleeves. They
mm,
don't like to show their emotions, but underneath it all, they're really more emotional and touchy-feely and caring than we
mm,
people who wear our hearts on our sleeves. And then we have the exciting yellow brain people, your parietal lobe, last lobe of your brain to develop, doesn't develop till you're about 25 or 30. And I always say, that's why teenagers and young adults still need their parents or mentors
mm,
or other family
mm,
members or friends, teachers
mm.
to help them, to
Right.
guide them. They need that guidance. And
What
so
about the orange?
those orange brainers are fun-loving, risk-taking. They're the entrepreneurs. They're the
Mm,
people like you and me. We like starting our own businesses, doing our
mm,
own thing, and we're willing to take that risk. And we have a
You
lot.
know, it's interesting because I know that when we've talked before, you said often you're predominantly one color, but you certainly can be other colors.
Yes.
Now, what's interesting about what you just said is that you said that orange people are risk takers and entrepreneurs. And even though I am, I don't feel comfortable in that role. I don't enjoy the risk take. I mean, I don't enjoy worrying about, gee, I don't have the steadiness that you do when you're on, when you have a job. You have steadiness, you can count on it all the time. Yes, I mean, it's exciting, but you don't have that guarantee. And
And
that's something that's important to me that I don't have. So I don't really think I'm orange. This is why I'm asking you because I think
right,
we have
right,
different pieces to ourselves that we
exactly.
may have one part, but I wouldn't say I'm an orange. I'd say I'm more of a blue, the
And
empathy.
also, as I tell my clients, or in the books, that you're a rainbow. You're a combination of
I
all
love
the
that. I
colors.
love rainbow. How cool.
And so if you think about a rainbow, one color blends into the next. It isn't
Yeah.
one definitive color.
Yeah.
And the rainbows show up, it's interesting, after a shadowed time that I talk about in the book when things are gray or cloudy or rainy or here in Chicago, cold and snowy, then the rainbow comes out and there's always the sunshine. So if we look at that way about people and ourselves, many times we are that shadowed person. Things happen in our lives and we are feeling uncomfortable. Like you said, that you'll worry about something. Well, the yellow people are the worriers. They want things done the right way, but that doesn't mean you're always yellow. You're a blend of your yellow and your blue. I've known you for so long, Patricia. I see you as a very blue person.
Yes.
And also we reflect off of one another.
Mm-hmm.
Our colors reflect to one another. So if you're talking to a green person, then they like to talk about things that are educational and
Mm-hmm.
interesting. They don't like fluff, you
But
know.
see, that would be me, and that's green and not blue.
Yeah, yeah. So we are those rainbows. We are that combination, and that's
Yeah.
lovely. And originally, I was teaching Myers-Briggs, which is 16 different letter
Right.
personalities put
Right.
together to be four. But I learned when I was teaching third grade in the 60s that I was correcting my children's papers incorrectly. And they'd say, Mrs. Glazov, no, that math problem is this answer. And I'm like, wow. So I went to the reading teacher, said to her, Ellen, I think I have a problem. And she said, oh, you have dyslexia. And I said, how did I get that? And she said, it's not a disease. It's just how your brain functions. And now we know about neurodiversity.
Mm-hmm.
You're much more aware of people being diverse and
Mm-hmm.
more respectful and giving those people opportunities and more understanding with ourselves and other people.
So when you talk about your colors, you talk about something called WCIYB. What does that stand for?
So the initials for what color is your brain?
Ah.
Because it's hard when you're reading the book. And if I repeated the title over and over and over again, it would take up a lot of space. And
Now,
so I
how
just,
do the brain colors, you talked a little bit about this, but not totally, how
Mhm.
they relate to the four lobes of the brain. And I just want to say, as you're saying, we're not just one. As you said, we have a dominant one, a dominant color. But
Depending
then
on
but then we
that
can find other ones.
But depending on that part of your life. So you might be a different color. You might be very green in your business life, but very orange in your personal life. And a lot and depends on it's like the 11 different quizzes on my website. There are 11 different quizzes. People can take a quiz, and I always tell them it's different. Or when you take the quizzes in the book itself, there's a professional one and there's a personal one. You may not be the same. And also, as we age, Patricia, we change as we age because different things in our lives
Mhm.
influence us. We may not
And
have the same responsibilities as when we were younger, or maybe we have different ones.
But the book, the quizzes you're mentioning, all these different quizzes are
Yes,
on your website. Anybody can take them.
yes, yes. In fact, there's a brand new website going up, which I'm really excited about. I had to get a new web designer.
And
And
and what is the name of the website?
the website is Your Brain Color or Sheila Glazov.
Glazov
Right. And
dot
people
com.
can look it up, and it's fun. You just can't do the quizzes with someone who's in your family or a friend standing over you, because they'll say, oh no, I think you're this way or that way. I always encourage people to do it by themselves and then compare, because how you see yourself is not how other people see you.
And how important is that, Sheila? How important is it that you know how you see yourself and other people see you?
I think it builds your self-esteem and your confidence to understand who you are and to know how to relate to someone. I always laugh about the story. I was giving a program for a group of nurses, and I always have a written out, very yellow, a very written out introduction that goes along with my slides. So people, I call it anticipatory set. So it's an educational term that helps us anticipate what you're going to learn and be excited about it. And this woman read the introduction, and then afterwards she said, and Sheila's one of the sweetest people I know. And I must have made a very strange face, Patricia. And I started to laugh because I don't see myself as sweet. I see myself as strong. And she said, well, that comes from your red hair, which I don't have anymore. But I see myself as a very strong person, not a sweet person. So
Hmm.
that's interesting about how we see ourselves
Hmm.
and then how
And
other
how
people see
other,
it, depending on the situation you're in.
right. And like you said, you could be very different in different situations.
Yeah,
Someone might see you in a situation at work where you're very strong and autocratic and dominating, whereas in your personal life, or maybe in another situation in business, you're much more uh, working together, more collaborative.
right, right. And maybe that's because in your job, there are certain skills you need to enhance in your community at work. And at home, maybe you don't have to do those things.
Yeah.
But maybe you are in your neighborhood, maybe you're in community. And I think that's important. When I used to teach at Northwood University in Midland, Michigan, there was a tridge. And one side of the tridge, I always say, was your home. And the one bridge side of the tridge is work. And the other side is your community. And that's the tridge that we all have to walk along during the day.
Yeah. Now, in your book, you have color content that you might not have had before. You talked
Right.
about that.
Right.
But you also have two new quizzes. Talk about those.
So I changed the quiz for your personal life and I changed the quiz for your professional life. And I also made them shorter, Patricia, because we're living in a world where everyone is swiping. Everybody's in a hurry. And also being respectful of neurodiversity, that people have a hard time sometimes with those long columns of words and then adding up across the words and then totaling down. It was confusing to people. It wasn't years ago, but it is now. So I think that to be appropriate and to be thoughtful to the people who are reading my book, shorten it. See what works best for people. It's the beginning of the book. Let them enjoy what they're learning first. And
Hmm.
then it's easier if it's shorter. And
You
it's
also
motivating.
changed a word from old workers and learners to seasoned
Yes,
workers and learners.
yes, yes. Because I'm one of those people. And I think what's exciting about being a seasoned worker is all the experiences you have if you're a seasoned worker or learner. We're still learning new things. I just took a webinar the other day and I enjoyed learning. It's wonderful to be the teacher,
Yeah.
but it's grand to be the student.
Yeah.
So I consider myself a seasoned worker and learner because I've lived many seasons. I've been blessed to live many seasons. And in doing so, you learn more and it spices up your life when you've lived longer, you've
Well,
experienced.
and part of the way you do that now, as you said, is we can do it everywhere, meaning remotely. So
Yes,
if we can't get out, particularly in this weather, as we have right now in New England and where you are in Chicago, we're in January of 2026, but we've just had a big blizzard here. And so, if you want to learn, you can because you can do
yes,
remote learning, and that's another addition in your book is
yes,
remote workers and learners.
yes, because we didn't have those people, those young people, those seasoned people, people who are always at their job at their desk instead of in an office. And I felt they needed to be included because that's a big change in the way people work and the way they live today.
Yes, very much so. right. And again, you were updating from a 20-year period,
Yes.
right? Pretty much, pretty
And
much.
also there was so much more information that I had done with my research and so many more workshops and interviews and experiences I have had with
Mm,
the people I've been fortunate to work
yeah,
with that
yeah.
I wanted to include those
Yeah,
things for
yeah,
people.
yeah. I think that's so true. I'm writing another book now, and my last one was 20 years ago, and it's very different. It's a very different take. It's very different because I'm different.
Right.
I'm not only older, but as you said, more seasoned, have more experiences. Now, let me say what we're going to do is take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Sheila about a couple of other changes in her book on negotiating creative problem solving, which is very, very very talked about now, particularly conflict resolution
Mm.
when we're negotiating. And then we'll also talk about her wet paint
Oh,
and what that means and the compatibility of different brain colors. So is are they all compatible? Do they conflict with each other? And you can go to Sheila's website, which is
SheilaGlazov.com or
or
yourcolor.com.
your brain color.
Hmm.
Yourbraincolor.com. And you said 18 quizzes,
There's 11 quizzes.
11 quizzes,
11
and two
quizzes.
new ones. Two
We
new
have
ones.
well, two new ones in the book, but then we're going to add some more to the website. We just had to update the basics of the website.
All right. Sheila N. Glazov is a best-selling author, internationally known professional speaker, award-winning personality expert, and a passionate educator and brain color coach. And she is the author of the book, which is revised, What Color is Your Brain? Decode your personality and discover what makes you and others tick. Improve communications and relationships. You're listening to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on VoiceAmericaMedia.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone, and we are back. We are back with my guest, Sheila Glazov. And her book is What Color is Your Brain? It is the revised edition. It's Decode Your Personality and Discover What Makes You and Others Tick, Improve Communications and Relationships. And if you go on her website, Sheila Glazov, is it Glazov or Glazov?
Well, originally it was Bella Glazov, and then Jordy's grandfather thought he'd be American and changed it to Glazov.
All
But it
right, so
was
it's
Glazov. Whatever works.
so Sheila and then glazov.com
Right, right.
or your brain color
Correct.
com.
Correct.
Okay. And again, there are wonderful quizzes on there so you can see what color your brain is and it's fun and it's educational. And Sheila is a best-selling author, internationally known professional speaker, award-winning personality expert, and a passionate educator and brain color coach. She's appeared on and been interviewed by CNN, NBC, ABC, Fox, Lifetime, WGN-TV, and other national networks. Okay. So, and today's Chicago Woman newspaper named Sheila as one of the 100 women making a difference. So, welcome back, Sheila. All right, I want to ask you about the new edition of the book, and something that is a little different from before is the negotiating piece and the creative problem solving piece. Now, I do a lot of corporate training when I'm not doing this. And the training, a lot of it is on negotiating, conflict resolution, making peaceful workplaces, creative problem solving. It's very, very current right now. So talk about what you've done in your editions in your book.
Well, from my experience, I felt these were very important things to do. And to talk about the negotiating and the creative problem solving and doing that within workshops for people. And I started doing it with the I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh, University of Colorado Medical School, and doing a program for them. And they wanted to know in healthcare, because I have a healthcare book for What Color is Your Brain, how to negotiate with people, how to solve problems. And you're in a healthcare setting, that's not easy. So understanding your brain color and understanding, here's the visual for you, Patricia. So you have an intersection and you have the orange, yellow, green, and blue, each standing on a side of the intersection on the corner. And then in the middle of the corner, let's say there is the patient. And everybody's looking at this patient because they're coming from their brain color perspective. So how they see the patient is different. So that how they're negotiating of deciding how to treat this patient or negotiating with one another of who's going to be responsible and how you're going to solve the problem, whether it's a problem within the hospital or with a patient, was really important to understand your brain colors. So if you understand how you negotiate and what's important to you, then it can become something that can be very satisfying and easy to do instead of being, oh, this is a conflict. I don't like having conflict. I
Mm.
just remove yourself. Instead of saying, how can we look at this differently? How
Mm.
can we see this? In fact, I had someone the other day just say to me, you should really go do this in Congress.
Yeah,
I,
right. Yeah,
oh
you
my goodness.
should.
I
You
don't think I
should.
really want to get into politics, but
Yeah.
even when the 2020 eight
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2026 November midterms come around, talking about the different candidates. I remember doing that when Mr. Clinton was running and
Mm.
Mr. Obama was running and doing that with people on the radio and different interviews because again,
So that
it
was
your,
fun.
your
Yeah.
perspective and how
So
you
give us an example of a healthcare worker, particularly today. We've just been through COVID. Of course, it's a
oh,
few years away, but still, we're seeing a lot about healthcare workers and a lot of compassion fatigue. Give us
yeah.
an example from your book, or just
Well,
from doing this with healthcare and what people have
yes,
said or
what
how they've
people
used
said
it.
and how they've also changed.
Yeah.
So there's a laboratory next to my physician's office. So I go there for my blood work, and these ladies have been there forever. And then all of a sudden I got a message saying I had to make a reservation. I what? Oh no, you had to call up and make a reservation if you were going to have your blood work done. I said, my orange just said, I can't just come in, drop in. Nope. You have to be yellow and you have to call, you have to go on the portal and make a reservation. Wow. Okay. So that's different. I needed to change my behavior from being orange to being yellow. And then you'd look at a blue person and the blue person will say, well, I like going to this lab, so I'm not going to change, even though now I have to go through the whole rigmarole of making a reservation. And the green person says, it doesn't make any difference to me. I just have to go in. Here's the facts. I need my blood work done. So everybody's going to have a different view of how this changed in healthcare. And the healthcare workers have changed because they said since COVID, people are not yellow and polite. People have become orange and rude. They don't have time, they're late, they don't follow, the directions to make a reservation. They don't come in and talk to you nicely. Sometimes they don't talk at all and they're rude and they're expecting you to, cater to what they want. So you need all your brain colors. I've given my book to my lab workers because they're such lovely ladies and they were having such a hard time because people are not as yellow as far as being polite and blue and kind since COVID. They become very shadowed where that you wanted to talk about. And that makes it very difficult for our healthcare workers. They're leaving. One of the girls is leaving. She said, as soon as something opens up, I'm going to this other department where I don't have to deal with the people.
Mhm.
Ah, and that's to me very sad because I'm the blue person and I like going to the same people all the time.
So, Sheila, how does knowing their color help them with that decision?
They realize that they've been very blue because they've gone into this healthcare field and
Hmm.
they want to help people, but they've said they need to be self-caring to themselves
Hmm.
and they need to make some good logical green brain decisions and not make it out of emotions. Green people do not make decisions or negotiate out of emotions. They
Hmm.
do it out of the facts. They do it out of the information that they have, and they do not get emotional about the decision that they're making,
Yeah,
which is
fascinating.
good for them because if you're blue, you can be very sad about it, or you can be yellow and you'll worry about it, or else you can
So,
be orange and
so
just
let
forget about
let's let we one thing we didn't do.
it.
We
Yes.
didn't go over the basics of each color. We kind of did,
Okay.
but blue is your more emotional, empathic person. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
They're empathic. They're your communicators. They're going to talk
Therapists,
to you.
people like me, communicators, therapists,
Teachers like me.
counselors,
Yes.
teachers.
Yes. They're the blue people. They're the helpers.
Right,
It's like Mr. Rogers said, you go and find the helpers.
right.
That's who we are. We're the helpers. And the opposite of the blue people are the green people. And they help in a different way, but it's not emotional. They help by giving you the facts. They don't sugarcoat it. They tell you what it is and what you need to do, but they're not there to put their arms around you and give you a hug. In
So,
fact,
so,
you need to ask them if you can give them a hug.
so Sheila, in
Yes.
a meeting, if
Yes.
you were making a very important decision in a meeting, would you be best to have a person with all different color, an orange person, a blue person, a green person, and a yellow person in that
Yes.
meeting?
And that's how I started doing my brain colors because I was doing strategic planning and creative problems with storyboards, and the people would start arguing with one another. And I thought, oh my gosh, well, you can't accomplish anything because that was a stupid idea. Why
Right,
did you say
right.
that? So I created the colors. So before I started a creative problem solving session, I would have them take a little brain quiz. And then they could see why they were answering the way they
Yeah,
were and how
yeah.
they could be more respectful of
Insights.
other people.
It's fabulous. So what about the yellow and orange?
So the yellow in a negotiating situation.
No, just in general. The
In general,
yellow.
okay, our yellow people, you'll see in the logo, there's that little right angle because yellow people like to be right. And as I told
Mhm.
you, this little fifth grader, oh my gosh, it has to be 25 years ago because I was going in and reading my children's book about the color with their class. So it's over 25 years ago. And he said to me oh, Mrs. G, I'm very yellow. I said, yes, I think you are, Eric. He said, yes, I'm responsible, I'm respectful, I'm accountable, and I'm dependable. I'm rependable. So I always use this, but I give Eric attribution. Someday I'm going to meet him or hear from him, but I like to give him attribution because it was his word to be rependable. And those people are rependable. When you need something done, you can count on a yellow person. Now, an orange person, you can count on them to have a good time. Not necessarily to be on time or be rependable, but you're going to have a good time with them.
What
And
does the word rependable mean? Is that a made-up word?
yeah, that's his word of accountable. It's respectful, responsible, accountable, and dependable. And that's
I
a fifth
see.
grader, and it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes,
And
it
we know
does.
those people that are all those things, and it's
Right.
lovely. Well, it's interesting because I was doing a workshop, and someone said, "Well, I don't think they're rependable. I think
Mhm.
they're really just hard to work with." Another lady
Mm.
said, "Oh, I think they're really difficult to work with."
Mm.
But that's because they were yellow and they didn't see how the orange people in the room
So,
can
so
get things done quickly and get results.
what this does is it helps you to see the different facets of yourself.
And the
So
other
that
people.
so that if, for example, I'm in a meeting and I'm getting agitated, I can look at, okay, well, how am I handling this? The orange person might just burst out, right? But the
And
green
also listen
person
to
might,
their words. Listen to the words when you're in a meeting, listen to the words because the yellow people will have the would, shoulds, and have tos.
mm,
People always say, "Oh, I love this. This just makes me so happy." There are words they use that's a clue. You'll hear the orange people say, "Oh, that's fun." When I leave to go anywhere, my husband always says, "Have a good time, have fun." And then you have the green people where they don't say too much, but you know that they're giving you facts that you need to know
mhm,
so you can see how you need that. And then when you're taught, you hear the yellow, you hear the green person, they'll tell you, well, these are the facts, these are the numbers, this is how I got this answer, this is the logical way to do it, this makes sense. So listen to what the people are saying, and they will tell you exactly what color brain they have. It's like watching The Wizard of Oz. Okay, so
mhm,
Dorothy wanted to go home. She was yellow. She wanted to be on that
mhm.
road. And so what did the Tin Man want? He wanted a heart. He was blue. What did the Scarecrow want? He wanted a brain. And what did the lion want? He wanted courage. He was orange. So if you look at the Wizard of Oz and you look at those archetypes, they're the four brain colors. So
How
now
interesting.
when you watch a movie, you'll always see the brain colors when you're watching a movie now. And you can pick them out and see, oh, that's why that's happening. That's their brain color. Or when you're reading a book, if you're reading a fictional book, you can also pick those people out.
It also sounds like what it can do for you, Sheila, is help you to become more tolerant, and stand back a little bit and analyze. And instead of blaming and shaming, say, I understand. It's because they think this way because of this color.
Yes. And I think when people say, I want to teach tolerance, I always say to them, tolerance just means you're going to put up with someone. I don't want you to tolerate me. I want you to accept me. I want you
Yeah,
to appreciate
yeah,
me. I
yeah.
want you to value me. Because when you just endure someone, that doesn't enhance your relationship. And that's what the brain colors do. They enhance your relationship. And I always
Right.
say, if these children can learn it in elementary school, you can learn it as an adult,
Absolutely. We're
right?
going to take a break. And when we
Okay.
come back, we're going to talk to Sheila about um, how the brain colors are compatible with each other. She's going to talk about her term wet paint. And then she's also going to talk about the significance of your visual of a four-corner intersection. And then people might be thinking, well, is one color better than another? Maybe better than a blue because I'm so empathic, but maybe that's not what we need in the moment. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about colors, not just as static, but how you adapt to a different situation, where even if you tend to be blue, maybe you need to be green or yellow. So
Absolutely.
we're going to come back with Sheila. She has a brand new, updated, revised edition of her original book, What Color is Your Brain? Decode Your Personality and Discover What Makes You and Others Tick, Improve Communications and Relationships. Okay. And Sheila Glazov is a best-selling author, internationally known professional speaker, award-winning personality expert. and a passionate educator and brain color coach. So we're going to come back with all of these things, more about brain colors with Sheila right after the break. You're listening to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on voiceamericamedia.com, and we will be right back. Well, hello, everyone, and we are back. You are listening to the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show, and we are talking to Sheila Glazov about her updated, revised, original book, which was an international bestseller. What Color is Your Brain? Decode your personality and discover what makes you and others tick. Improve your communications and relationships. This book is the revised edition of the best-selling book, which has sold over 41,000 copies worldwide. The new book helps readers decode their personality and discover what makes them and others tick to improve their communications and their relationships. And she talks about the 4 brain colors of yellow, blue, green, and orange to improve professional and personal relationships. Sheila Glazov is a best-selling author, internationally known professional speaker, award-winning personality expert, and passionate educator and brain color coach. Welcome back, Sheila.
Thank you, Patricia. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. And your brain color methodology simplifies the complex nature of the brain color personalities. Now, Sheila, did you design these brain colors all by yourself? Is this your invention?
Yes, it is my invention.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
that's because I'm an elementary school teacher and it was easy for me to do the colors then with my dyslexia, do the letters and the numbers. I
So
got confused with
interesting.
that. It was too confusing for me.
And one of the things you talk about that we haven't talked about yet
Mhm.
is wet paint.
Yeah.
How does that relate to brain colors and what is it?
So when people think about their brain color,
Right?
they know, like I know I'm very blue. I've always been blue. I'm a blue person. And I was just going to say I love. So there's the blue word I love the relationships and talking to people. And then that's who I am and teaching people. So when you talk about your brain colors and people figure out by doing the quiz in the book or doing the quiz online or being in a workshop with me, that they realize what color brain they have. However, we all have those days and those moments where we are not feeling like ourselves. And when we are feeling bright and esteemed, we feel shadowed, clouded, and we are not feeling good about ourselves. And someone says to us, Patricia, why aren't you talking to me? Why are you so grumpy? Well, sometimes you don't feel like talking. You do it for a living. You know what? Sometimes we just like to be quiet. We need to solve the problem. We need to be introspective. So instead of having a fight and someone arguing with you, you just say to them, I'm wet paint. So I would just say, I'm blue wet paint. So when you look at a park bench and there's a sign that says wet paint, you know not to sit on the wet paint, right? You know not to sit on the bench. So you know that it's wet paint and it makes it so much easier to resolve a conflict. So
Hmm.
if I'm upset about something, my husband Jordan will say to me, "Oh, Sheila, are you blue wet paint today?" And I'll say, "Yes, I'm blue wet paint." He doesn't say to me, "What's bothering you?" He leaves me alone till I'm ready to talk about the situation.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
just saying your brain saying your brain color that you're wet paint makes the situation resolve itself. You don't have to have an argument over it. So I always tell
Yeah, I
people,
really like that. I've never heard that before, and I'm going to use it.
right. And it's not pointing the finger at anybody because
No,
you
it's
could
telling
never,
how you feel, and it's giving a great visual.
yeah,
And it's
exactly.
also taking it out of the personality. You're not saying, I don't want to talk to you. You're not saying, I'm crabby and you're crabby. You're just saying, I need space. That's really what you're saying.
Exactly. And really, like I said to you, it came from my college roommate's mother. And Bubby gave us this printed out poem. And it was really to say to the person you love, I'm just wet paint today. I'll still
I
love you,
love it.
but let me be by
Love it.
myself. It has nothing to do with you. It's just my wet paint. And people
Right.
say the same thing you did. They love it.
Yeah.
It's easy and it resolves a conflict easily. And then
Yeah.
when you're really not emotional, you can discuss whatever is bothering you.
Yeah. What's the significance of your visual of a four-corner intersection?
The four corner intersection lets you see whatever's in the middle of the intersection from the different perspectives of the brain colors. So you were just telling me that you're writing a new book. So for me, I'm looking at you in the middle of the intersection, and my blue brain says, let me help you, Patricia. I can introduce you to my publisher. The yellow person can say to you, I have a friend who's an editor. So if you just want someone to look over your writing, the yellow person would contribute someone who would do that the right way. The green person would say, oh, you know what? I'm going to learn something from your book. Please, I'm making a note. Please send me a copy. I'd be happy to pay you or tell me where I can buy it when it's printed. And the orange person says, oh, that sounds like so much fun. I know someone else who's in a writer group. I'll introduce you to those people. So
Hmm.
everyone is seeing you writing your new book from their perspective.
Yeah,
And
that
if
is
it's
great.
if it's something that is not a good situation and you're having a discussion with, like, you can have a discussion with someone who doesn't agree with you politically, you're just standing on a different corner.
Right.
And instead of arguing with that person and being angry, we know people didn't go to Thanksgiving dinner or a holiday dinner because they were arguing with a family
Yeah.
member. You
Yeah.
just have to remember, unless it's abusive, that's a different story. But if they just have a different viewpoint or opinion, just think about them standing on a different corner.
Yeah.
Just use that
That
visual.
really helps. I'm going to throw out a situation to you and I want to see how you would handle this.
Okay.
So, for those of us, that are pretty calm, which I would say most of the time, But we all have triggers, Sheila. Someone can say something to you and you can fly off the handle, even though that's not your nature, if you will.
It pushes a button, right?
So, how do you use these colors if somebody pushes your button and you're just about ready to react, even though you know better, but that button really got pushed?
Well, I find when that happens to me, because I'm blue and I'm quick to speak about it, I'm standing on the blue corner, I become green. I think about what I'm going to say. I just don't say it. I go to the opposite. I go to the green person and I go to that part of my personality that says, learn about what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You may not
Mm-hmm.
agree, but if you learn their perspective,
Mm-hmm.
you at least are respecting their perspective. You don't have to like it. It's like eating a meal, when you were a kid, your parents gave you Brussels sprouts, you didn't like it, but you would taste it. We used to say, when we were campers, we used to have a no thank you helping. Where for me, it's sort of a no thank you. I'm not going to respond that way.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm yellow people are very respectful. I'll be respectful to that person and I won't answer back and be a smart aleck. I used to be a redhead. Redheads are firecrackers. And sometimes you say something and you really shouldn't have. You stop and be green and think about it. And then if you're orange, you can think, oh, you know what? I may not like it, but I can be agreeable. Orange people they're really good at camaraderie and teamwork. They can be agreeable. You can work on a team and you don't necessarily agree with all the people on the team or all the people in your family. But if you stop and think, just take that moment, just even think about wet paint. Whatever they're saying might be something that's wet paint. It might be uncomfortable or ugly. If you just stop to be green and think about it, then you don't say something you're sorry for because you can't
Mm-hmm.
take it back.
And what if you're yellow?
If you're yellow, sometimes we can be very yellow and we can think we're right. We may
Mm-hmm.
not be right because we haven't heard all the green information. Maybe we've
Mm-hmm.
only heard somebody's side of the story, but we haven't heard. That's why we have so many green attorneys because they hear both sides of the story,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And but we get involved because we're blue and emotional, Patricia.
I know.
Yeah,
So I know, I understand that one.
yeah,
So how can people think about what color is why CI yellow B or YB, right? What color is your brain?
right.
How can we think about that as a tridge? TRIDGE, and what does that mean?
So the tridge is, and I said to you, I used to teach at Northwood University, and we would walk into Midland, Michigan, and we would cross a tridge. So a tridge is a three-sided bridge. There's a
I
little,
didn't know that.
yeah, I didn't know that either till I went to Midland. And then someone said, oh, we're going to cross the tridge. I said, what's a tridge? It's a three-sided bridge. And you'll see in the book, there's a drawing of a tridge, of what a tridge looks like. So you say, okay, we have the different sides. So we have different sides to us. We have our professional side to us, right? We have our personal side to us. And then if we do things in our community, then there's another personality of how we are out in our community, of how people see us.
Mhm.
And again, how we see ourselves may not be how other people see us, which is really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
We'll make a decision by looking at somebody, but until you get to know them, you may not say, oh, I thought she was really yellow. She was dressed so appropriately and every button
Mm.
buttoned and every hair was in the right place, but you didn't see her when she was out in her garden getting
Yeah,
dirty in her
yeah.
overalls. So
Mhm.
that helps us see we're multifaceted. We're like a
Yeah,
gemstone. You look at a gemstone, it's multifaceted.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's what makes us sparkle and shine if we're multifaceted, right?
Well, I think what this does is really help to create bridges, as you would say, or tridges, as you would say. It also helps us to communicate better because we can put ourselves in other people's
Yeah,
shoes. And
yes,
you've given us a very easy way to do that. And I think in today's world, we need to do that even more. We
yes,
really need to look at cooperation and kindness even more than we do. Now, in your revised book, you have again color content. This is different from before. You have two new quizzes. You have changed old workers and learners to seasoned workers and learners. You talk about remote workers and learners. You talk about bullying and shadow behavior, which we have not talked about yet. You talk about negotiating and creative problem solving. We have a couple minutes, so tell us a little bit about the bullying and shadow behavior.
well, the bully behavior really came from when I did a second edition of my children's book, Princess Shayna's Invisible Visible Gift. And it was around 2014, 15, there was so much bullying going on, and we were hearing about it online, and that was new. And we always knew there was maybe a kid in our neighborhood who was a bully, but we didn't see as much of it with adults. And for
Okay.
me, it was really important for people to recognize what bully behavior is and to be able to help people deal with the bully behavior. You don't necessarily just bully someone back.
All
You
right,
look
so
at
you
their
use, we
behavior.
only have 3 minutes left, Sheila, and I
Yeah,
want to close. So
yes,
what you're saying is you use the different colors to analyze what the behavior is,
yes, yes, you do. Yes, you
and
do.
and then you're able to change the way you respond.
Yes, you can't change how someone else responds, Patricia. We
That's
can
right.
maybe help them have a different perspective, a different point of view,
Hmm.
and not be so emotional about it.
Yeah.
Because
So that's what this does. It really helps you, the person giving the communication.
yes,
Closing thoughts. What would you like to leave our listeners with today? Got about a minute.
I think the most important thing is for people to be respectful of somebody else, and this gives them the tool to be respectful and understanding of someone else's corner they're standing on at an intersection. To be a little
Mm,
kinder.
yeah.
Maybe we're more a little more understanding that their brain
Mhm.
color might be shadowed that day. They might be wet paint that day.
Mm. Sheila, it's been a delight and inspiration and joy, as always, to
Yes.
work with you and to interview you. Really has.
And I feel
People
the same
can,
way.
thank you. Your book is What Color is Your Brain? Revised Edition. Decode your personality and discover what makes you and others tick, improve communications and relationships. They can find you at SheilaGlazov.com, Glazov, or they can find you at Your Brain Color,
Right. Yes.
yourbraincolor.com. All right. Again, it was an honor and a pleasure. And folks, do go on to Sheila's site. She has 11 quizzes you can take to find out about the color of your brain. And it can help you in several areas and some new areas as well. It can help you with being a remote worker, being a seasoned worker, bullying, shadow behavior, negotiating, creative problem solving, as well as many other things. Sheila, thanks again. Stay on the line. All
Thank you.
right. Yeah. All right, everyone. That wraps up this edition of the Patricia Raskin Positive Living Show right here on voiceamerica.com. If you want to find me to get a copy of my newsletter and see these amazing guests that I have on each week, Patricia at patriciaraskin.com. And if you would like to continue to get your positive message out through a podcast series, I've interviewed over 6,000 people in my career, and I would love to help you put that together. Again, Patricia at patriciaraskin.com. Remember, stay healthy, stay happy, get the support you need, and know you can make your dreams come true. Until next time, I'm Patricia Raskin. Bye for now.